Some people buy base models or lower end models so they can save money. But there are also those who buy them because they want a good platform for future modifications. So this right here is the Ford Ranger XLS. This is the base model in the Ranger lineup. In this video, we'll review it in stock form, and we'll also talk about what it would take or how much it would take to make it look extra badass. So is it worth the money? Let's find out. So the Ranger XLS may be a base model, but this is not like a Hilux G with steelies and a flat black bumper. If you're not that familiar with the Ranger lineup, you wouldn't think that this is a base model. It looks more like a lifestyle pickup than something that people would buy for business or for industrial use. So here at the front, it looks almost the same as the XLT, except for the headlamps. So these headlamps are halogens. The XLT also has halogens, but these ones are reflector types. On the XLT, you get projector headlamps. If you want to replace these with LED headlamps, the good thing about the Ranger is that it's been out for a while now, so you have a lot of aftermarket options. You can probably buy an aftermarket pair for around 30,000 pesos. So the grille is the same as the XLT, also the bumper, and this also gets halogen fog lamps. The XLS gets 16-inch wheels. Now, I don't really mind smaller wheels on pickups. I think 15s to 17s look better when paired with meatier tires than 18s to 20s. I've owned a Ford Ranger before, so I know that you can fit 32-inch tires here without a lift. So I installed 285 70/17s on my Ranger, and I had absolutely no rubbing. Of course, the cost of the tires would depend on the brand. You can probably buy Falcons for around 12,000 each, for a total of 48,000 pesos. Some people also use Comforters. They're a much cheaper brand, around 7,000 per tire. I think the wheels look good enough. Just paint them in black so they look aftermarket. As you can see, the wheels are tucked in. And what some people do is they install spacers. So spacers, basically, you put them in between the wheels and the hubs, and that pushes the wheel outwards. Now, the car community is divided when it comes to spacers. I say if you're going to do it, buy hub-centric spacers from a reputable brand. If you want to install bigger tires, you'll have to have it lifted. Now, the cheapest option is to install spring spacers at the front and shackles at the back. That'll cost around 12,000 pesos more or less. If you want to lift your pickup though without compromising the ride, I say invest in a proper lift kit. So here at the side, it looks almost the same as the XLT, except that you get flat black door handles. This is also flat black instead of chrome. And of course you get smaller wheels. But like the XLT, this also comes with a step board, which is definitely a godsend if you're at the shorter range of the height spectrum. These side mirrors are manual folding. On the XLT, they're power folding. The XLS gets disc brakes at the front and drum brakes at the back. The rear bumper is body colored. It gets halogen tail lamps. This opener right here is flat black. The Ranger XLS doesn't come with an assisted lift kit, so it's quite heavy. Ugh. It also doesn't come with a bed liner. I noticed that modding pickups is becoming quite popular in the Philippines, and Rangers tend to be very popular among modders. That's why I thought of talking about it in this video. Anyway, you can spend as little as 28,000 pesos for a larger set of budget tires, and you can spend over 200,000 pesos if you want a proper lift kit with mags. The thing is, even if you spend 200,000 pesos on it, it will still be cheaper than low-end models from other brands, and it will look a lot better. Just note that major modifications, especially on the suspension, may void your warranty. So if you want to play it safe, just do the tires and mags and get a dash cam with a rear camera. You can do the lift after the warranty expires. The Ranger XLS gets Ford's 2.2-liter engine. Now, unlike the 2.0 engines from the higher models, this engine has been around for a long time now. My XLT had the same engine and it's very reliable. This has been around since 2012. So it's more battle tested than the engine of the Hilux, which has only been around since 2016. It produces 158 horsepower and 385 Newton meters of torque. The interior of the XLS looks very similar to other Ranger models. And it's not until you start touching things that you realize that you're in the base model. The most significant difference here is the steering wheel. The XLS is the only variant that comes with a polyurethane steering wheel. So polyurethane is basically plastic. This is not completely hard though. If you squeeze it, it has a bit of give to it. It does get plenty of buttons on the steering wheel though. So it gets cruise control. It's not adaptive, it's just standard cruise control. And these buttons over here are for your infotainment screen. The Ranger XLS doesn't come with a push start button. Instead, you have to start it the old school way. You put the key in the keyhole, like so. As you can see over here, you get an analog speedometer, an analog tachometer, and a multifunction display at the center. Like other variants of the Ranger, the XLS also comes with electronically assisted steering, so this is very light. This is the lightest in the segment, and by a huge margin. It is very light when you're stopped or when you're at parking lot speeds, but once you get to highway speeds, it does stiffen up a little bit. Like other variants of the Ranger, the XLS also gets an 8-inch screen. It has Apple CarPlay, it has Android Auto, but it doesn't have a reverse camera. If you absolutely must have a reverse camera, your cheapest option is to buy one of those dash cams that you put here. And you can install a front camera as well as a rear camera, and you can display the feed through the rear view mirror. I think those cost around 2,000 to 4,000 pesos, which is not very expensive. You get 2 USB ports, one 12-volt outlet. You get 2 sizable cup holders, and you get these little spring-loaded tabs over here, so you can put smaller cups without them jiggling around. It gets a manual handbrake, which I absolutely don't mind. It gets power windows. This is hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic. It doesn't feel cheap though, it feels pretty thick. It's not entirely made of hard plastic though. Like this armrest right here is leather wrapped and it's very nicely padded. This is wrapped in fabric and it's a bit padded. As far as storage goes, you have a decently sized, actually it's a pretty big glove box. And this right here is the most spacious armrest storage in any pickup. So you can see it's pretty deep. I usually put my camera here and I still have plenty of space for other stuff. This though is plastic, it's not leather wrapped. The seats are covered in fabric. It has a rough texture to it, so you're not going to slide around even if you do a bit of spirited driving. The seats are manually adjustable. You do get height adjustment, which is important for a vehicle like this, I think. Here at the back seat, legroom is pretty good. The front seat is adjusted to my height. I'm 5'8". Headroom is also pretty good. I have about 3.5 to 4 inches. So down here you get one 12-volt outlet and you have some storage over here. So I drove the XLS from Cavite all the way to Clark. That's about a 3-hour ride and I didn't have any back pains at all. That's partly because of the seats, which offer pretty good back support, and also the suspension is relatively good for a pickup. It's not as bouncy as some of its peers. In terms of noise insulation, it is a lot more quiet than other pickups in the segment. Like I said, the steering is the lightest in this segment, which helps a lot when you're parking, but when you're on the highway, it feels normal. It doesn't feel jittery. This may not have the most powerful engine in the segment, but it feels more than enough. On the highway, overtaking is easy, and it can still be a bit of fun to drive when you give it some gas. It's not as fast as more expensive variants of other pickups, but it doesn't feel sluggish either.
Continue on R8 for 63 kilometers.
That's 100. The Ranger XLS sells for 1.215 million pesos. I think at that price it offers excellent value for money. You get a very capable and very good looking diesel truck. I don't think it looks like a base model, but if you want to make it look better, you have plenty of options. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.